Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmas Mimiros Rusmas Mordechai. Shalom Ravelli. This is from a doctor, R E Simons. Minahel Yichidat Pagim V'Tipul Nimratz Bet Cholim Laniado. He himself needed stitches. I've been zeichet to learn with you the daf since Masechtas Beitza. I attached a picture of me learning the daf while getting stitches in my elbow. Hopefully the picture will inspire others to learn even when their day does not go as planned. Have a wonderful day. Ariel Simmons, Karnei Shomron. Who else lives in Karnei Shomron? That's where Avi lives? No. Moreshet. Yeah, that's something. Oh, Fold. That's right. Avigdor Fold. Shkoyach. I knew it was familiar. Dear Rebelli Shlita, Mazel Tov on your 50th birthday. May Hashem grant you, I don't know if anybody knew, but it's my birthday. Oh, Baruch Hashem, they took that. That's it. We're done. But I got many emails. Thank you to all the Welshers. Okay, I'm saying that. Yeah. May Hashem grant you on your koiches to continue ad meves. Just listen to your parsha message about learning at least 2 minutes a day. Just 2 minutes. It's a new thing. You can put in the song. Just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. This is a pro tip. Simchas Torah last year, I took upon myself to learn at least 2 lines of Gemara every day. Because even though I was keeping up with the daf, I was missing out days and catching up later. See, I was mechavan to him. I said, I took it away from just 1 minute to just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes sounds better. Just 1 minute is like cliche. So he just, instead of doing 1 line of Gemara, does 2 lines of Gemara. Minimum 2 lines. Baruch Hashem, have not had a day without Torah since then. It's not about the daf, it's about the Yomi, Good Shabbos, Eliyahu, Salem, Eli for MDY. This is the guy that has this license plate in London. Shkoyach Eliyahu. The Rebelli, wishing you all the best of everything on your birthday and always keep steiging. Thank you for all that you do. Your Talmud Glenn Bond. Never heard of it? Glenn Bond. Shkoyach. And here you have the famous Mordechai Sapaznik who does the cartoons for the children. What? You know him? Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Victor Shine.
Victor Shine. You sat right next to me this Shabbos.
That's right.
And then after davening, just during Kriyas Torah, you didn't go like this to me. Hey, after davening, you dropped it on me. So where do you live?
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. And this guy, Glenn Bond, lives in Brooklyn. I don't have his picture.
Sapaznik.
Oh, Mordechai Sapaznik. Oh, he's famous. Okay, good. Here I am on a flight on the way to Houston, Texas, and listening to the shir, your Talmud, Mordechai Sapaznik, Yishkoyach Mordechai for everything. Hi, Rebelli. So I want to tell you that you mentioned things along the way you don't even know what could come out of it. You mentioned about Reb Aaron Belzer picking up a stamp in the street and making a tish just to be able to be kind the mitzvah shas haveda. The next day, I was in shul. A stranger comes over to me holding a credit card he found on the table, asking me if I know the person I could return it to him. At first, I was hesitant to get involved. Then I remembered Reb Aaron. I took up this person's number. It turns out he lives 2 blocks away. He's sick. He asked me to bring it to his house. I made the trip. And before I gave it to him, I said, L'shei mitzvah shas haveda. This is from Chaim Weissman, who learned with me in Passaic. I think they were giving an opportunity to the mitzvah, and I told him the story with the Reb Aaron Belzer. He was very pleased. On another note, Bikur Cholim is the hot topic of the day. I saw in Hebrew art scroll the taich of Bikur means, what does everybody think? Bikur Cholim means to visit. No. The art scroll taiches it, livdok, to check after, to make sure the guy is okay, not to visit. It's much more than just a plain visit. Check up. How can I help? Like a Bikur carbon. All the best, Chaim Weissman. The Koilel is sponsored. May we always be able to support Torah. May the Torah protect us from any harm. In Zgula Torah, Tomechia, Kyi'akov Ya'alak. The Nishmas Zechrya ben Moshe, the Paras HaChodesh, the Nishmas b:tzlאל ben Moshe, and the art is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. Schus for his nieces, Shiduchim. And Rabbi Isai, here we go. Daf Mem Zayin. Whoa, what's your name, Tzaddik? Yeshua Abramov, Mazel Tov, Tzaddik. Yeah, get over here. Come. Mazel Tov. How many Masechtas did you do with us? From Yevamos, beginning of Yevamos. Was it easy? Yevamos is pretty easy. Yeah, no, not so bad. The rest of shas is gonna, I don't have. I mean, you got 200 shekel. Oh, I don't have money. I got a $10,000 check in here. Here, at least take this for your bar mitzvah. But we're gonna finish shas together, right? All right. Rabbi Isai, here, if you look at the screen, a person put his house as what's going on? Oh, the person said his house is kainam. Kainam is the lashon of a carbon. It should be like a carbon to the whole world. And then he died. Are you allowed to go into that house after he dies? That's what we're going to learn. You said that this object, this computer right over here, is also on you. And then you go and you go to the store. You say you don't want this one. You want the exact same thing in a different box. Would that work? Would that help you get out of your nether or not? Also another thing. Now, a very stingy person who went ahead and took a fruit off an arla tree. Arla you're not allowed to eat, obviously. And he was mekadesh a woman with the arla. Mekudeshes and not mekudeshes? Huh? It's also bano? Fine. All right. So now let's see the Gemara Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. Says the Eli Gemara. So, just to repeat, here you see it in the chart. A person says, "Koinam leveischa sha'ani nichnas." Your house. He points to the guy, not the house. The guy. Sha'ani nichnas. I don't allow myself to go into your house. You didn't say which house. Okay. And then another case we had in the Mishnah is he says bayzeh. Koinam lebayzeh shani nichnas. Two cases. So when he says lebayzeh, it's dafka this house, and this house means even after the guy dies. Lebeischa means your house when you're alive. When the guy dies or he sells it, it's no longer his house. Okay. Now, there is one chumrah that the Ram brings down. We just said bayizeh is very, very severe. Bayizeh. So even if the guy dies, the isser continues forever. Because he said, this house is asr on me. Bayizeh shani nichnas. He's pointing at the house. He says the house. So even if the guy dies or sells it, he cannot go into the house. Beischa is a little lighter. Says the Ran, however, there's a chumrah on Beischa that Bayzeh doesn't have. And that kind of answers the computer question. If he says your house and the house falls down and he rebuilds it brick for brick on the same plans, the same footprint, everything, it's identical, one for one. So if he says Beischa, it's still Asr. But if he says Bayezeh, here we have a kula in Bayezeh. He says this house was trucked away, it's gone, it's in the garbage, this is a brand new house, it's not Asr. So here you have a case where Bayezeh is a kula and Beischa is a chumrah. Boy Avimi. So Avimi has a kasha, top of Mimzayin Amud Aleph, Koinam lebayezeh shato nichnas. What if he says, take a look. Until now, we were talking about sha'ani nichnas, me. Now he flips it sha'ata. You, I'm putting the isser on you. You're the guy that's not me. Now, bayizeh sha'ata nichnas. Obviously, one cannot go to somebody else and say, you are usher to go into that other guy's house. You have no right on anybody else to ask for anybody else to go into anybody else's chayfetz. But I could ask you to come into my house. Okay. So I'm asking you, shata. But now, meis oishemachri lacher mahu. You hear the kasha? Everybody agrees that I, Eli, cannot tell Ruvain that he can't go into Shimon's house. I have no ownership over Ruvain not to go into somebody else's house. But I tell him, or not me, it's not a good idea. Somebody else tells Ruvain, you can't come into my house, and then that somebody else dies. Now it's all of a sudden becomes like you're telling Ruvain not to go into Shimon's house. It's not your house anymore. Once the guy is dead, it's not his. So can you transfer the Isser Lachar Misa? What if he dies? Or he sells it? Does a person have the right and the ability to make an object usher even after that object is not owned by him? When it's owned by him, we understand you could tell somebody you cannot use my object. But over here, it's already sold. Does that Isser transfer over? Omarava Tashma. If it sounds familiar, it is familiar. It should be familiar because we had this. Ha'omer libnoi koinem shi'ato neneli. Person says to the son, he gets mad at the son, le'aleinu, I'm making a nether, you can't benefit from me. Li. What does li mean? Me. As soon as that li goes away, goes bye-bye, leaves this world, it's no longer li. Umeis, and he dies, Yirosheno. He could inherit him. Why? Because the nether was li. Now a person after he's dead, he's a nothing. He doesn't have anything. It's not me. He's in the ground. His atzmius went away. So he could inherit him. But if he stipulates and he says, B'chayav u'b'moisi, you have to say moisi here. When I'm b'chayai u'b'moisi, umeis lo yirshenu. You see Reb Shimon, he just walked in here. Yeah, I don't want to embarrass him. Very, very tzenua, nechbal hakelim. But every day I see him, every day he drives his kid, drops him off at the doorstep of the Beis Medrash, Akiva, the famous Akiva. And then he drives for 10 minutes looking for parking. He doesn't park and then walk with his son. He drives him here. And then he comes later shtickle once in a while. Tashma. So we said it then, let's just repeat it again now. The Ran says, what does it mean, lo yiroshenu? He does not inherit him. He says, Mefurish, after I die, I also don't want you to benefit from me. But the Torah says a person gets Yerusha. How are you going to overcome what the Torah says? So the Ran says he does inherit him. Just unfortunately, he can't benefit from it. So he gets a $20 million check, and he can't benefit from it. He can't use it. So what could he do with it? What good? He gets a mitzvah. Huh? It's a mitzvah. Right. Well, mitzvah's lav ne'enes. So what could he do with it? So the Ran says, if he has a son or a brother, so he tells the son and the brother, by the way, the Ran goes into it. You have to know how to say it. You can't just say, hey, here's a $20 million check. And the son loves the father, and the brother loves the father. He says, no. I have a check sitting over here. I have a pile of cash sitting right over here. I can't benefit from it because, unfortunately, as you know, my father was Madar Hanor for me. Go ahead and take it. You want to take it. So it's more like a hefker. Because if he takes that cash and says to his son, here, take $20 million, and he doesn't tell him why, so the son's going to think he just got a $20 million gift from his father, and that's a matana. So you have to be very specific. You have to tell him straight out. No gnevas das here. The only reason I'm being a nice guy, I'm giving you $20 million is because I myself can't benefit from it, and I'm not giving it to you. Come take it. So it's more like he's taking it from hefker. That's how the Rad says. What if he doesn't have a son, doesn't have a brother, he doesn't know? It's another trick. Can you give it back to the father? The father's dead? No. Oh. His father. You mean do a shtick like that? A laundry. No. So what's the difference? I guess. What's the difference? He gets a tremendous thing. You don't have to support your kid anymore. You just got to 20.
What's left to me though? What? You just tell him, take the money. What's the difference?
Because if he says take the money, that's like a matana, says the Ran. It's not like a matana. If you don't say take the money, you say it in a different way, and you explain to him why. Yes, but it's indirect. Fine. Ayin baran. The other way to do it is you borrow money from somebody. You borrow money, and then the guy comes. You borrow $20 million from somebody, and then the guy comes and says, "Pay me." He says, "I don't have." What do you mean you don't have? He starts searching, and he finds a $20 million pile of cash. So he chaps it. Oh, so now you just paid him off. What is that called? That we had this sugya. This is Mavriach Hari. Mavriach Hari. Okay. Fine. Where are we? Oh, Shma Mino. So over here, when a father has the right to tell his son that it's asur, he can't use his belongings. He can't have any benefit from the Yerusha even after he's dead. And when he's dead, it's not his anymore. He's not in the world anymore. Nevertheless, the Isser is Chal. Shma Mino, Adam Oyser Davar Shebersusai. You see that a person has the right to tell another person, you cannot use this object even when I'm gone, even when I sell it. This is a good raya. Not awesome. Okay. Person sees these fruit. Koinam is a lotion of carbon. These fruit should be a carbon on myself. Koinam hein alpi. Should be a carbon if they go into my mouth. Koinan hein lefi. Alpi, hey lefi, whatever the lashon is. Also b'chilufayim uvegidulayim. Says the Gemara that it doesn't matter when he says such a lashon, a strong lashon, that these fruit are a carbon on me. So even if these fruit have fruit, you take the seeds, you make fruit, or let's say you took these fruit, you sold them, and you bought another fruit, everything is asur. So that's the sugya now. Up to how much of the next generation of the switch is asur. Just like l'saber saizen, not to be funny, chas v'shalom, because we're learning Nedarim, you can't be funny in Nedarim. Saber saizen, a guy goes into a bakery, says, "Could I have a donut?" So the guy gives him a donut. Looks at the donut, says, "No, you know what? Give me a cheese Danish." So the guy takes the donut, gives the cheese Danish. And then the guy with the cheese Danish walks out the store. So he goes, hey, where are you going? You gotta pay. So you gotta pay. I gave you a donut, you gave me a cheese Danish. So yeah, but you didn't pay for the pay for the donut. So but I didn't take the donut. So kids, okay. Because once you get something else involved, I took this, I get that, now all of a sudden, now you start getting mixed up exactly. What's going on? Is the Isser on the thing or not on the thing? He says, not on himself. Now all of a sudden, before it was a lie. These fruit are also like a carbon on myself. He didn't say on myself. He said, on you. What about the exchange? Miamrinon gabi delay. When it comes to himself, okay, fine. That was before. I just want to see. Okay. No, that's okay, fine. Just going back, Hillel, going back to what you were asking me for. I said it, but I'll say it again. He says, there's a Toivas Hana. There's a little bit of a, but he says it's like Hefker. Once it's like Hefker, there's no Toivas Hana in Hefker. Okay, fine. I'll go about it. Says the Gemara, what about if he says, you are also my fruit. My fruit is like a carbon to you. A person has the right to answer his friend on his own fruit. My fruit should be answered to you. Now, we know, right, all through shas, you can't sell something that doesn't exist. I can't take a fruit that's going to come out in 2 years from now, it's going to be ripe in 2 years, and sell it to you now. Ain't all the future. There's no futures in Kenyan. Ain't all the. However, when it comes to making something asur on yourself, that you could do something that's shlei b'laylam. I'm saying I am going to be asur myself something that doesn't exist yet. So, since a person can asur fruit on his oyser peiros chaver alatzma, he says your fruit is asur on me. So you could also say something that doesn't exist yet, the future should be also on himself. But by his friend, you have no right to tell your friend not to benefit from a third friend. Then maybe you don't have the right to answer something that doesn't exist on your friend, futures on your friend. Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis. Or perhaps Mishom Dichilufin Gidulim Dam. Perhaps when you do an exchange, it's like something that came out of a fruit. A fruit that has a seed and has another fruit, that you could understand that it's almost the same thing. They're connected. They're one. So maybe when you exchange, it's like a gidul. So it doesn't matter whether it's the actual fruit itself, it's you yourself, or it's your friend. Okay, so just to show you real quickly, 1 minute before we go into sponsor. We get the sponsor in a second. We're in the middle of the question here. So a few things that come out from the Ran is as follows. Number one, the Ran says, this lashon that the Gemara uses, that he's koinem, not koinem, he says that's not important. Rami Bar Chama's question is on any Isra Hana. Anything, like what Gemara is going to say on Arla. Also, can you take this Arla and answer it on your friend? Another thing he says, you're not allowed to trade this in. You have an Isra to trade it in. Why? Because you have Isra Hana. So by you trading it in, you're getting a benefit. So of course you can't trade it in. So what's the Gemara Shaila? Gemara Shaila is, if you were over, b'diavad, you after the fact, you traded in, somebody said, what are you doing? It's awesome. Uy, now what I do? Can I benefit from it or not? To go, if you ask the Rav, can I go take this fruit and change it into an orange? You take a pear and change it. Of course you can't, because you're benefiting. You took something that's awesome to you, a pear, and now you just gained something, an orange. Fine. So at the end of the day, Midaraisa, you could benefit from it. So that's the Gemara Shaila here, says the Ran. The whole Shaila is, in these cases where somebody was over and he switched it in and he got a different type of fruit, object, is there did Chachamim give him a sort of knas or not? Midaraisa, you could benefit from it. But Midrabanan, was there a knas or not? Sponsored by Yankel Cohen, the official MDY MSP, and also sponsored the schus being able to support limud hatorah and to finish shas with Rebelli. Omar Ravacha bar min Yumi Toshma oimer lishtoi koinim shani nehenelech. What? What?
You have to say sponsor now?
I just did. Mamish.
Sorry.
Wow. Oimer lishtoi koinim shani nehenelech. Now, again, we're explaining this interesting case. A person says to his wife, you can't benefit from me. But how could he say such a thing to his wife? He has a chiv, the right to support his wife. So we're talking about between Erusin and Kiddushin. In that spot between engagement, we call it engagement, Erusin, and between Kiddushin. Kiddushin is where it goes into effect. In between, he said, you can't benefit from me. So what does she do? Loiva, she borrows money. Also, sugis that we learned already. Ubali chayvin boim v'nifroim. So I don't want to bring the chart, and I really didn't bring the chart, the Shibud the Reb Nosson chart. You all know what it looks like with the chalent and the toilet, the whole thing. 25 people left the shir because of it. Great. So this is a Shibud the Reb Nosson. The husband owes the woman money. The woman goes to another party, she takes that money, and the husband, instead of paying her, pays the other party. That's okay. Loiva ubali chayvim boim v'nifroim. So the Gemara says, my time ubali chayvim nifroim lav mishum dichilufim lav ki gidulin dami. How is she able to go ahead and take money from somebody? Basically, you're laundering money here. It's real laundering. She cannot take from her husband Ruvain, so she goes to Shimon, takes money from him, and Shimon goes and takes the money from Ruvain. So if you look in the Ran, he has a pshat from his Rebbe's. He says, I don't like that pshat so much. 3 lines before it becomes wide. And he says, maybe the pshat is like this. If you hold that switching out any object for another object, one money for another money, is literally like using the same fruit, like the how do you say tzetzayim? The offspring of the fruit. It's not a good lashon, but okay, you get the idea. The offspring of this fruit, the fruit had a fruit. The what? Outcome is not great. The payroll is great. I love it. That's great. That was great. The payroll is you come great. The payroll of the payroll is love it. Yeah. Says the Ran. So if so, how could they come and take the money from the husband? How could Shimon go and take the money from the husband Reuven? You're right, there's a concept called Shibud de Reb Nosson. Over here we know that he's coming because of the wife, not because of the husband. We know that the husband is paying the other guy so that there's no isser done here. Okay, if you're saying that chiluf is like kegidol, the switch is like the actual thing, this should be awesome. Now, why doesn't she have an isser right now to borrow the money? So as we're going to see in the sugya, and the Ran explains it here, is that it's not happening right away. The isser, the switcheroo, doesn't happen right away. She borrowed money. That was step 1. She enjoyed herself for 5 years. Later on, her husband has to pay. So it's not direct. It's indirect, sort of. And Mela, she's allowed to do it. Says the Gemara, and this is what the Gemara is going into. So interesting. What does the word lechatchila mean? What does the word b'diavad mean? B'diavad usually means after the fact. Lechatchila means before the fact. So over here, the Ran says, no, that's not pshat. Lechatchila means immediately. When you're doing an immediate switch, I'm switching an apple for an orange. I go to the store, I say, hey, this apple is awesome to me because I'm mudar enough from it. Give me something else instead. That's awesome. B'diavad is what we just described, like in the case of a woman. She takes the money today, and tomorrow the husband pays back. So that's b'diavad. You hear? A new way of understanding l'chatchila b'diavad. I just put them together. There's 4 boxes because in a minute we're going to have another l'chatchila b'diavad. It's a completely different pshat. Dilma l'chatchila udulai. Maybe when you do it immediately, that's awesome. But if it's removed, it's not immediate. Maybe then it's mutter. So we don't have a raya from a woman. I have another raya. Hamekadish ba'arla. A person takes a fruit off a less than a 3-year-old tree. Eina mekudesha. Since the fruit is also ba'ana, you can't benefit from it, so you can't be mekadish a woman with it. There was in Bet Shemesh, they have a thing that they plant fruit trees. You'll see, like if you go down, you know what I'm talking about? Tzelim. They have fruit trees, clementines, oranges, whatever it is. So there's a shaila halacha if you're allowed to eat those fruit when they're arla. Why? Because they're not planted for Shalom Aleichem. Who's that? The guys in Yerushalayim. By the way, interesting. Benny told me that 2 people showed up to that shir that they don't live in Yerushalayim. They're guests in Yerushalayim. So they figure instead of, they want to go to the Kaisel, they also want to go to the MDY, so they go to the shir over there, Gevaldik. Okay, no, maybe it'll be a thing that people will go over there. You hear? You could have gone over there. When are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
What time?
9 a.m.
No, you can hop a ride, another shir, an MDY satellite. I don't even know where it is. Where is it? Who knows? No. It's not in Mechas Chinuch. It's in another place. Chasidim -1 or something. Okay, look them up. Okay. So that's the Shiloh. And then somebody came up with a chap. He said, you know why they plant these fruit trees? Because they don't want people to destroy them. It's also destroy it. So that's why they plant the trees. So they actually do want the fruit So if you do want the fruit, then it's also to eat the fruit. Okay, but it's interesting, Shaila. You ever knew that? If somebody plants a tree, not for the fruit, just for beauty, could be it's mutter to eat during Arla. I don't recommend it. So, but listen to this. You went ahead and you over Isser by selling Arla, you're not allowed to benefit from Arla, but you sold it, and then you Mekadesh her. It's a good Kiddushin. So the Ran goes ahead and explains, of course it's a good Kiddushin, that was in the Shaila, but what we're trying to prove here is the Chilufi Kiddushin. That what? We're looking at this woman, not, halachically speaking, that she is a switch of a switch. In other words, he acquired a woman from money that he acquired from Arla. And if that would be Aser, if Chiluf is like Gidol, then you would say he has to do another Kiddushin. He would have to repeat the Kiddushin. From the fact that you're saying you don't have to repeat Kiddushin, over here you see that the trade is a good trade. The switch is a good switch. Says Gemara, Hachanami lechatchilu u'deloi v'ovad ovad. So now the Gemara again makes an afkamit between lechatchila and b'diavad. Take a look at the chart. Lechatchila over here means not right away, like we said before, the first switcheroo. And b'diavad means the second switch. It's a completely different pshat between lechatchila and b'diavad that we had before. You hear? And it's certainly not like we always understand the word lechatchila b'diavad. Over here, lechatchila means the first time you do a switch, you take an apple, you switch it into an orange. That's for sure, also. Or you take an apple, switch it into an orange, and then you buy with it a woman. Kaviyachal. Okay, if a woman heard that, but you know what I'm talking about. Making a kiddushin with a double switch. That might be okay, says the Gemara. All right, we're holding by the Mishnah, brand new Mishnah. Sponsored that we should all have the zchut to never give up, stay positive, and keep going forward. Love it. Hareini alecha cherem hamud asur. Cherem, we said, is a lashon that we use to give something to the Beis Hamikdash. This object should go to the Beis Hamikdash. Or, this object, we had it. Don't worry, we had it. I'll remind you. This object should go to the Kohen. So either the Kohen or the Beis Hamikdash. And we had a whole sugi. Depends where you live. If you live next to the Beis Hamikdash in Yehuda, there's so many kohanim. Then the wording over there in that city, in Yehuda, in that area, means usually people use it to give it to a kohen because there's so many kohanim. But if you live in the Galil, then usually the lashon is not that kohen. There's no kohanim over there. They like to live next to the Beis Hamikdash. So what it means is, I'm trying to donate this to the Beis Hamikdash. So over here in our Mishnah, we're talking about Beis Hamikdash. We're talking about Galil. He says, check this picture out. There's a mother and a mudar. The mother is the one that says the thing. The mudar is the one that the neder is chal on. I just took the picture because I didn't have a better picture Sunday morning. Just, you guys remember from the Hashavas Haveda, stole it from there. So, over here, Noam Fix is saying, Hareini alecha cherem. I am also to you. The arrow goes from me to you. I cannot give you. You're not a part of this. I'm not making you asr. I'm making myself asr on you. So therefore, you can't benefit from me. The arrow goes this way. Okay. Hareyat. Now, what if he switches it all? So, awesome. Hareyat alai cherem. Again, Noam Fix is still talking. But what is he doing? He's saying that you should be asr on me. You cannot give me benefit. So the arrow goes in the opposite direction. Hanoider asr. So, the one saying it, the madir, the noider, he's asr. He cannot benefit from avi. Harei alech avatolai. Here, same thing. He says both. Hareini alech avatolai. I'm asr on you, and you're asr on me. I'm the one speaking, but we're both asr on each other. Shneim asur. No big chiddush over here. So the arrow goes in both directions. Avi can't give Noam, and Noam can't give Avi. A lot of people told me that they don't have devices and they just listen to the shir. There's so many charts and so many things. How do they know what's flying? I don't know. Okay. They're able. Okay, I hear. That's what it is. You're able, Taco?
I don't listen, I watch it.
Oh, saying when you don't. Ushneim utarim. Now, both of these characters, he said, you're asar on me, and I'm asar on you, but they're both mutter b'davar she'oilei bavel. Oilei bavel, as the Mishnah is going to describe in a second, is something that doesn't belong to anybody. It's not like a shul, yesterday's shul that we spoke about, that it's owned by every single member of the shul. We're talking about, like the Azar in the Beis Hamikdash, something that it's a communal, it's just Klal Yisrael's, it's almost like Hefker. Not really Hefker, but it's almost like an object of Hefker, and therefore nobody's us. Even though they have a nether on each other, they could both benefit from that object. Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. V'asurim b'davar shel oisa ha'ir. Now, davar shel oisa ha'ir, like a shul that belongs to the community, each and every person in the community put some money into the shul. So they each own the shul. They own a part of the shul. So if I am asar on you and you're asar on me, we both can't go into that shul. What is it? Give me a good example. Kigain harabayis v'azaros. The whole harabayis, the azara, v'habor shebemtza derech. Here's a picture. I took it out of Erevin. We had such geschmack time in Erevin. People were so scared of Erevin, but it was beautiful. Here, in the middle of a street, of a highway, they built these bayros, water, for all the Eli Golem. Imagine, I was there Friday night, going to the Kaisel. The amount of people, and it wasn't even so many people. You're talking about 5,000 people. I don't know how many people go to the Kaisel. The whole Rachavah was jam-packed. Okay, but imagine millions of people. Just everybody's coming from all. You have to on the regal. You have to come. They needed water, so they made these kind of communal pits with water in the middle of the way. That's not owned by anybody individually. It's not pshat that each person in Klal Yisrael has 25 cents worth of that bar. It's almost like hefker. Not mamish, but almost. What does it mean, that city? Kigoin harachava v'hamerchatz. Like the, how do you say rachava in English? The plaza, thank you. Beautiful. Plaza. I want to show you, Menachem, you didn't see this, I'll show it to you. There was one thing I missed yesterday. There's an older individual sitting on the bench over there and he's learning K'tzais. I thought it was Givaldi. He brought his K'tzais into the Beis HaMerchatz, Givaldi. Because it's based on a true story, which I've seen guys learning like that in swimming pool stuff, whatever. Okay, fine. This is just, they used to sell eggs in the Beis HaMerchatz. And here's a guy, they used to have guys with the bibir with the whole thing going into the mikveh, with the shmoyne begadim. There's all sorts of, okay, fine. So, HaMerchatz, or Beis HaKnesses, these are all things that are communal, that each person owns $1 in it. Vateva, the shul, the aron, the stender, this right over here. Vasfarim, and the Sifri Torah. So, the question is, I really want to get into it more. You can't benefit from Torah. What do you mean the Torah is asr on you? I'm learning Torah because I can learn Torah. No, anybody have an answer? Could I? Shalom Aleichem, I didn't even notice you. What's your name? Baruch is from? Passaic. Passaic. You know, I learned Barry Meir Stern for 2 years. In 87 and 88, I think. Something like that. In the old building, in the new building. Yeah, great. 35 Ascension Street. So, Nachamol. I have a Sefer Torah here that's owned by the whole community. I can't learn from it. Why can't I learn from it? Mitzvahs lav lahenis nindu. If it's a lulav, can I shake the lulav? Yes. If it's a Sefer Torah, I can't use a Sefer Torah. Why not? Unbelievable, Rabbi Isai. Because it's geschmack to learn Torah. That's why. Beautiful, says Rabbi Shomber. Because the halacha is, if there's a mikvah, I'm usher in the mikvah, I'm allowed to go into the mikvah. But if it's in the middle of the summer, so the mitzvah is one thing. But what about the gishmak? What about the physical gishmak and me going to the mikvah? That's usher. Then I can't go into the mikvah. Torah also has a side benefit, Rabbi said. You mechuyev to enjoy Torah. And Torah, if you know how to learn it well, it's very, very enjoyable. So that side of nah, even though it's a mitzvah, but the side of nah, the physical gishmak, you can't take away from the physical gishmak. Some mitzvah that physical gishmak you can't do it. Even though mitzvah lav and ezu, that physical gishmak is taka also on you. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.